Sadhguru Jagi Vasudev is a realized master, mystic, and yogi. He has shown the way for people to attain to their natural joy and to live life with experience from one's own inner nature. His presence is filled with grace and compassion. Sadhguru's scientific approach towards spirituality and work towards the upliftment of humanity have received accolades worldwide. The words that come from him in intensity and utmost clarity, from his deep understanding and wisdom, can change the very core of the being. Belonging to no particular tradition, Sadhguru incorporates what is most valid for the modern person from the spiritual sciences. His work, an outpouring of his blissfulness, finds expression in the form of a ceaseless offering to help all beings. Available to all who are willing, Sadhguru's life is an invitation to the divine through individual transformation. Welcome to the silent revolution of self-realization.
You should tell me, what should we talk about? Enlightenment.
My basic question is, what does it feel like?
What does it feel like? Let's say there's no magic potion in this, just water. Okay. Let's say you never had the experience of drinking water. And I have. And if I try to describe to you how it feels to drink water, would I ever get across to you? It doesn't matter how articulate I am, will I ever get across to you? Could you? Could you describe to a man who has not ever had the experience of drinking water what it really feels like to drink water? Something as simple as this. It won't get across, isn't it? So anything which is not in your experience, if people talk about it doesn't matter how articulate they are, how they come out, invariably it only leads to a misunderstanding. So let's not talk about how it feels, let's talk about technically what it means. That you can understand, I know. If I say how it feels, I will end up saying things which… because whatever you speak, when we use language, I have to take care of it and logical, isn't it? What you're referring to as enlightenment is not a logical process, it's well beyond that. So if I speak illogically here, would you sit with me? You won't. You won't, isn't it? Next 5 minutes if I speak illogically with you, you'll want to leave, isn't it so? Yes. You will sit here only if I speak logically. That means you have made it very clear to me, don't talk enlightenment. Okay. We'll talk about it, not… So what is it that we are referring to as enlightenment? As a human being, there are various levels of experiences that human beings are going through. Some people know just food and sleep, some people know creating something, some people know action, some people know art, some people know music. Some people know drugs, sex, this, that, so many things. But if you look at it carefully, always a human being is seeking to have a larger slice of life, isn't it? Isn't it so? Whether he's out to make money, or he wants to have pleasure, or he wants to go to heaven, it doesn't matter whether he wants to go to the temple or to the bar, he's still trying to have a larger slice of life. That's the only intention, isn't it so? To enhance the present level of life to something more. So the whole effort is to have a larger slice of life. So you have had pieces of life, some of them have been good, maybe some of them bitter, but you have had a certain slice of life. Suppose you had the whole pie for yourself, I would call that enlightenment. You're not seeking pieces anymore. You become very greedy. You want all of it. Everything that can be known, experientially, you want to know it right now. If you do manage it, that's called enlightenment. Is it very difficult? Not at all. The most difficult thing about enlightenment is it's too simple and it's the most obvious. Because it's so obvious, the whole world misses it. If it was somewhere up on the moon, by now everybody would have gotten it. But the problem is it's right here within you, that's the whole problem. And your whole focus is out. Why it is out is, right now, your whole perception of life is only through five senses. Yes? Everything that you know right now has entered you either by seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting and touching. This is the only way you know the world, isn't it? This moment if you shut down these five agencies of senses, you will have no experience of life or of yourself. This is what is happening to you when you fall asleep. When you fall asleep, this one is very much alive, the body is alive, the mind is on, the world is on, but all of them have disappeared in your experience simply because the five senses have just shut down, that's all. So sense organs are the only means of experience for you right now. And sense organs in the very nature of things are outward bound. See, you can hear the fan obviously, but even if you drop a pin, you can hear it. So much activity in this body, can you hear it? No. If an ant crawls upon it, even the breeze from this fan you can feel it on your skin. So much blood flowing inside, can you feel it? No. So sense organs are essentially outward bound. Because of your dependence upon the sense perception, turning inward and knowing the inner dimension seems to be so out of reach. That's only because you do not have the right kind of instruments or right kind of vehicle to turn inward. It is like you want to eat a laddu, but you want to eat it through your ears. Very difficult, quite impossible, isn't it? You just have to understand it can only go here, it can't go here. So enlightenment is that difficult. Understand?
It never seems that.
Huh?
It never seems simple.
I'm saying it's that difficult. Even if you use both ears, still the laddu won't go. Even a piece of it won't go. But if you just use the right inlet, it goes. It's because people do not make the necessary effort to find which way. They want to go the way they know. It looks impossible. It is like you're riding a bullock cart, but you want to go to the moon. Somebody gives you a horsewhip and tells you, really whip the bulls, you'll get there. You won't get there. The reason why it's become so difficult is because too much nonsense has been spoken about it. If nobody had said anything about it, many people would have found their way. Too much nonsense has been said about it and a whole lot of confusion created. People have written too many things about it without knowing what it is. People have said too many things about it without having a clue what they're talking about, which has left people absolutely confused. At least if people shut up, human intelligence is capable of knowing this. Because if you have an uncluttered intelligence, if a human being grows up with an uncluttered intelligence, when I say uncluttered, if your intelligence functions without being identified with anything in particular, then knowing the inner dimension becomes a natural process. Right now, that possibility has been taken away because right from day one, the parents are working hard to get the children identified with their family and their stupid values and whatever. The teachers are working super hard. You okay for a joke? I'm supposed to be serious? No? On a certain day, a bull strayed into the forest. He saw lush green grass and he went grazing inside. He went deep into the forest. A few days and weeks living there, he grew fat on food and no work. Then an old lion, who was well beyond his prime, was having difficulty hunting the wild animals, saw this fat bull. Easier to stalk and kill a bull than a deer, you know. So he looked for his time and then pounced on him and killed him and ate him up. His stomach became real full. Then with great satisfaction he roared. A few hunters were passing that way. They heard the roar and tracked down the lion and shot him dead. The moral of the story is, when you're so full of bull, you should not open your mouth. But all the time these people are opening their mouth. If they all shut up for some time, it will be very natural for every human being to long to know. Right now they're just destroying that by giving ready-made solutions and all kinds of nonsense to believe in. It is very natural for your intelligence to probe at everything, isn't it? And how can you ignore yourself? You have ignored yourself because they've always made you look up there at some god that they themselves have not seen. Because of this, enlightenment has been transported or exported to heaven. Otherwise, it's simple, it's the most obvious. When you heard of Arjuna. So when Krishna went on talking truth, Arjuna said, where the hell is this truth that you're talking about? Where is it? Because if I ask you, is it here, you say no. If I ask you, is it there, you say no. At another time, if I ask you, is it here, you say yes. If I ask you, is it there, you say yes. What is this nonsense? Where is it? Tell me where is it, I'll go get it. He's a warrior, you know. So Krishna laughed and said, the ultimate truth about life is at the tip of your nose. Now, there are many schools of yoga who are intensely focusing on the tips of their noses. You try focusing on the tip of your nose, within 2 minutes you'll get a headache, you'll not get enlightenment. So, all he's saying is it's the most obvious. The problem is it's here, but your senses are set there. So you just need a little bit of turning around, that's all.
There's this line that I often go back to in the Bible about many being called but few chosen. It seems like a very unfair spiritual process, seems like a very undemocratic process. So the line I think is about many being called but few chosen.
I would say many being called but few choose. Few choose to really come. It's not few are chosen, just a few choose to take the step. People ask me how many steps. Just say, I tell them take one step. And there is only one step. You have taken 1,000,000 steps outward, just one step inward.